I feel like at some point he's gonna call me a clown. That's his like go-to.
I'll be like, that's me.
It's different levels. You know what I mean? It's definitely different levels when you come.
Jake Paul may have made his name through bold confidence and controversy, but the recent footage of Gervonta Tank Davis's powerful new build seems to have caught even him off guard. As clips of a visibly stronger, more muscular Davis spread online, fans began to wonder if Paul had underestimated the lightweight champion's transformation. Davis, famous for his explosive power and precision, now resembles a natural welterweight, a clear message that he's coming not just to entertain, but to dominate. Sources close to Paul suggest that the YouTuber turned boxer is starting to feel the pressure, realizing that this version of Tank could be far more dangerous than expected. As anticipation builds for the November 14th clash, both fans and analysts are stunned by Davis's dramatic physical change. Known for his compact strength and punching power, the 5 feet 5 inches lightweight has added significant muscle, appearing faster, stronger, and more lethal than ever. The visual difference between Davis's new frame and Paul's cruiserweight physique, made clear during their intense Miami face-off where Davis shoved Paul, has only heightened the rivalry, with Davis now resembling a condensed powerhouse. Speculation grows over whether Jake Paul's trademark confidence might be cracking under the reality of facing an opponent who is not only skilled, but now physically imposing. Davis has long been admired for his speed, knockout power, and ring intelligence. Yet his latest transformation has pushed his abilities to a whole new level. Photos and training footage reveal broader shoulders, thicker arms, and a refined core, all achieved without sacrificing agility. This isn't just a fighter adding mass for attention. It's a deliberate evolution designed for dominance.
Right? Who's not a professional fighter. What happens? What happens? That's what would sell it. I know what the size difference is what creates the problem. The optics, the look, the reality. I mean, you got one guy who's fights at 135 pounds, and you got another guy who fights at 200. I mean, just that alone, yeah. But you also, and I'm not saying I want this or I like this when I heard it. No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin?
In a recent interview, the UFC bantamweight champion didn't hold back, claiming that Davis stands far above Paul in both skill and fight IQ, while he recognized that Paul might hold a size advantage, but dismissed it as meaningless against an undefeated technician like Tank. He also criticized the commission's move to classify the bout as an exhibition, arguing that such labeling undermines the competitive spirit of the sport.
What do you think of him and Tank?
I enjoy these fucking stupid spectacles
I enjoy it. I'm excited for it. The controversy, the press conference, the weigh-ins. Imagine those two stand next to each other. Dude, Jake is a big motherfucker. Basically, like you two standing next to each other. Like if you guys stood up, it's like that. Steiny's a little bit taller than Gervonta.
But I'm a feisty bro. It's not about the size of the dog. It's about the size of the what?
Many critics see this matchup less as a legitimate boxing contest and more as a crossover spectacle meant for entertainment. The debate continues to swirl around issues of fairness, safety, and what this fight means for the credibility of boxing's long-standing weight divisions.
Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. You have the Paul brothers and they come over to boxing. Their idea from day one is we don't have the skills or the experience. What we're gonna do is we'll take on the absolute best guys, but they're gonna spot us some pounds. Tank has one job to do, that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport. My skills versus your skill, of which I am an abundance of and of which you have none of. Tank is telling anybody that will listen that there's a size problem. My skills and my experience in boxing, I do not have to wonder who's in the bar tonight. Any bar I go to, I rule the bar. No, it turns out that you don't. You just need some big guy to corner you, apparently. Boxing has never stood its ground. Boxing has never been able to explain why Floyd needed a half hour to get rid of a guy who's never boxed before. Hank Davis has already began this. When you choose a dum-dum, don't be surprised when he goes out and acts like a dum-dum.
Experts argue that most of Paul's fights lack genuine competition or balanced matchmaking. They're often engineered for headlines rather than for sporting merit. Instead of challenging opponents suited to his weight or fighting style, Paul keeps opting for unconventional bouts. To analysts, this strategy makes for flashy spectacles, but not truly serious boxing contests.
Or won the fight. But yeah, that was that. This time, Jake Paul is to take on Tank Davis. Tank Davis, he was recently in the news for being arrested for a domestic violence incident involving one of his kids' mother. He was alleged to have slapped her about the place. The charges were later dropped, to be fair to him. But yeah, that was when he was last in the news. What is interesting is just a couple of months ago, Tank Davis was saying openly that he'd lost his passion for boxing and that he wanted time away from the sport. There was speculation that he might even retire, as he was experiencing extreme mental fatigue from boxing, depression, and there were mental health concerns over him. However, I guess the opportunity to earn a truck full of money, fighting a completely worthless exhibition fight against Jake Paul, was enough to make him change his mind about boxing. Funny that, isn't it? But you know what? I'm not even gonna waste your time or mine critiquing this utter nonsense. Suffice to say that this so-called fight we're talking about is an exhibition, and it pits Jake Paul, who is a cruiserweight, by the way, weighs in excess of 200 pounds, and Tank Davis, who is, he was the WBA lightweight champion, who weighs in at about 135 pounds when he fights. So that's a disparity of some 65 pounds. In old money, that's about 4.5 stone. There's also a significant difference in height. Jake Paul is roughly, 6'1", 2. Gervonta Davis is 5'5".
Jake Paul weighed in at 199.5 pounds as a cruiserweight, while Gervonta Tank Davis last fought at 133.5 in the lightweight class. That enormous gap led the Georgia State Athletic Commission to reject the original venue over safety concerns, forcing promoters to move the fight to Miami, though capped at 195 pounds. Davis's visibly bulked frame suggests he's narrowing the gap strategically. Even so, Paul's natural size advantage could influence power and endurance once the bell rings. This is truly a contest of size versus skill, one of the most unorthodox matchups boxing has seen in years.
Those little teeny weeny dudes. So that's going to be very fun and interesting to watch how that goes down. Now, on the other side, you know what Jake Paul's going to do. He don't have no consciousness. He doesn't have a conscience about what he's trying to do. He's going to go in there and try to hurt a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. He don't care. He wanted to he's way bigger than Nate Jones when he fought Nate Jones. You think he didn't care about hitting Nate Jones upside the head? He's definitely going to be looking to try to get as much as he can get off on Gervonta Davis and I see him trying to run up on him, trying to maul him, trying to grab him, trying to club him, trying to do all kind of craziness, man. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Now, let me tell you what I really hope, and I haven't seen for this particular card, but I know that I know it's going to be good, which is the undercard. The undercard for the Canelo Alvarez fight and Terrence Crawford fight is absolutely horrendous. There's nothing on the thing that would make you want to watch to tune into that thing 2 seconds before the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford takes place. There's nothing on that card. So this fight for Gervonta or this exhibition for Gervonta and Jake Paul is probably going to have a lot of MVP fighters on there.
Ryan Garcia drew comparisons between this fight and past controversial exhibitions, such as those featuring Mike Tyson that fans never really asked for. Garcia admitted that the public doesn't want Davis versus Paul either, yet said the sport often moves forward with such spectacles regardless. He emphasized that the size difference makes the bout inherently unfair, but conceded that hype and financial payoff will ultimately make it happen.
In disgrace of a fight, you know it. Just like Mike Tyson, low-key was a disgrace, but we accepted it. But he was 60 years old. I mean, the casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're gonna think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter. Gervonta Davis, he's actually really small. Like when I fought him, he's small. So I just think it's a very unfair fight.
Former world champion Carl Froch didn't mince words, calling the entire situation a total farce. According to Froch, talks for a Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight were nearly finalized, reportedly 99% done, before Paul instead turned to Davis, a fighter half his size. Froch called the move absurd, saying it proves Paul values shock value and publicity far more than real competition.
Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think, but the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode, but hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in, and I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share, and subscribe to the best channel in the business, Froch on Fighting.